everybody, it's Mrs. B again. I'm sure you have heard already that the school will be closed for another 2 weeks, which is not really nice, but we can't really change it. So I will post a couple of new videos for you, and well, as I'm here, I thought, what am I going to do tomorrow? As there is no much anywhere to go. If the weather is nice tomorrow, I will be in the garden. It's very probable that it's nice tomorrow because the weather forecast was good. So as there is nowhere else to go, I will be here. So today we talk about if clauses.
Let's have a look at the first if clause now. The first if clause is the probable one. That means this is very likely to happen. That's why we have a smiley here. The probable if clause. That means if the weather is nice, I will be in the garden. The weather forecast was good, so it's very probable that I will be there. I have two parts of the sentences here. If the weather is nice is one part, and I will be in the garden. It's very important to have if in one part of the sentence and the will in the other part of the sentence. Never put this together. You can start with the end. You can say, I will be in the garden if the weather is nice. That's okay. So you can turn those sentences round, but make sure you have two parts of the sentence, and in one part is the if and in the other one is the will. Now we have to look for the tense. If the weather is nice, that's the first form. And that makes it easy because we have type 1 and the first form. That is a good memory aid. And for the will, we need the infinitive. Now you might say, well, the first form or infinitive, that's the same. No, it is not. First form means he, she, it, das, es, muss, mit, if you have one. And the infinitive is just the basic without the to go, to run, to be.
The second type is the improbable one. For example, if there was a medicine against corona, I would fly to Peru. And I will show you that now. Have a look. That's why we are in the garden. Have a look at that. So, we had a nice project. So we have been to all the 7 world wonders in the world. And there is only one missing. Look, it's the Machu Picchu in Peru, 2000, and there is no number 2020. That's the improbable case. So we have booked it, we have paid it, we wanted to go there this summer. We planned Peru, Galapagos and Panama because Janos said Panama is nice. So that was our plan to go, but I think it's not very probable that we can go because of Corona. There are no planes flying at the moment. I don't know if the hotels are open. There is still a chance that we can go, so if I'm immune against Corona, I might go. If there are flights again in summer, I might go. But it's not very likely. It's improbable, and that's why we use the second type of the if clause, the improbable one. And again, if there was a cure or a medicine against Corona, I would fly to Peru.
If clause 2 is the improbable one. That means it's still likely but not very possible. Cut. If clause 2 is the improbable one. That's why we have not really a smiley, but well, I don't know. It's improbable. Unwahrscheinlich. Let's have a look at the sentence. If there was a medicine against corona, I would fly to Peru. Again, we have two parts of the sentences here. In one part, we have the if. In one part, we have the would. And somebody of you told me a very nice sentence. If and would machen den If-Satz kaputt. That means you keep those two words apart. One has to be in the first part of the sentence and the other word in the other part. Let's have a look at the tense now. We have a was, that is the second form. And, surprise, surprise, if clause 2, look, isn't that good to keep in mind? Second form, second type. And for the would, we need the infinitive again. Because we have the tense already in the would. That's the simple past here. Again, this is improbable. That means it can still happen, but it's not very likely. My favorite example is always the lottery. If I won in the lottery, I would stop working. It's not very likely that you win the lottery. There is a possibility, there is a chance, but it's improbable, not very likely.
This is type 3. If I had married Prince Charles, I would have been the Queen of England one day. But this is impossible because I didn't marry Prince Charles. Lucky me. And this is why we use the third form. It's in the past, it's gone, you can't change it back anymore. If I had married Prince Charles, that means 20 or 30 years ago, and I didn't do that. And to be honest, I'm quite glad I'm not the Queen of England one day. I think Queen Bee is nice too.
If clause 3 is the most difficult one, talking about the grammar, but it's the easiest to find out because that is the impossible one. Impossible means it's gone. It's the past, you can't change it back. It happened in the past or it didn't happen in the past, so you can't change it anymore. Let's have a look at the sentence. Again, we have two parts. If I had married Prince Charles, part 1, I have the if here, I have the would here. And now comes the tricky part, had married. Do you recognize that? That's the past perfect. So you need the had and the third form. And in the second part, you need the would and the have and the third form. This is complicated, I know, but there is a structure, it's always the same, and you just have to learn that. And again, if clause 3 is the third form. That makes it a little bit easier for you. Here you have all three if clauses together again. You have type 1, the probable one, you have type 2, the improbable one, and type 3, the impossible one, because that happened or in the past or didn't happen in the past, so you can't change that anymore. First, make sure which type you need. Sometimes you have one part of the sentence already given, and then you have to fill in the other part with the appropriate tense. Okay? Always circle the if, that you know that word is gone, and in the other part of the sentence you need the will or the would. You have to learn that off by heart. I would advise you to print that out or write it down again and to have a look at it before the exam or before a class test. And this will help you to get through the if clauses.
I'm sure you don't want to miss this one. So our first wonder of the world was the Taj Mahal in India, and this is me in front of the Taj Mahal. Have a look at that. It's a beautiful building. We were invited to an Indian wedding with 1,700 guests. It was a huge wedding, and we were the only foreigners, so I decided to wear a dirndl. I have a sari, but I did not know how to wear that properly, so I thought a dirndl is appropriate, and I think they liked it a lot. So we have something to laugh about now. And to finish with an if clause, if you liked it, please give me a like.